This lesson is going to cover comparatives and superlatives and also some additional comma rules. So when we talk about comparatives and superlatives, what we're going to be looking at is when you choose more versus adding ER to the end of a word, and then most versus adding EST to a word, and what the rules are for deciding between those two things. Comparatives, when you're doing or EST versus more and most, the ER or the EST, those go with one syllable words, or they go with two syllable words only that end with Y. In any other case, two syllable words or words with three or more syllables, you say more or most. Let's look at a few examples of this. So, one syllable words. The word true, you would do the ER-EST, truer and truest. Short, shorter, shortest. If you have a two syllable word that ends with Y, like happy, it becomes happy, happier, happiest, or grumpy, grumpier, grumpiest. Now, when you go on to two syllable words that do not end in Y, now you switch to more and most. So abstract, more abstract, most abstract. Equal, more equal, most equal, instead of equal or equalist. Those are not correct. Words with three or more syllables, and then you're into the area where it's always more and most instead of ER, EST. So comfortable, most comfortable. It's going to be difficult, more difficult, most difficult. So let's look at a couple of examples and see what it is. So few. Yes, that one would be few, fewer, fewest. Grotesque. There you got two syllables, but it doesn't end in Y, so it's more grotesque and most grotesque. Icy. Okay, so that one has two syllables, so you would do ER and EST. Icy, icier, iciest. Joyful. So two syllables, but doesn't end in Y, so it would be joyful, more joyful, and most joyful. And then you got kind. Single syllable, so you do kind, kinder, kindest. You got minor. That's two syllables, but no Y, so it would be more minor and most minor. Psychotic. That one, three syllables, so you gotta go more psychotic and most psychotic. Selfish. Two syllables, no Y, so it would be more selfish and most selfish. Unruly. That doesn't end in Y, but it's got three syllables, so you do more unruly and most unruly. A few other additional comma rules that we're going to cover in this lesson. One of them is introductory elements. For instance, a word like finally. Finally, comma, we have arrived at our hotel. When you have this introductory word or phrase, you set it off with a comma. Barely awake enough to form coherent sentences, comma, we checked in at the front desk. Another place that you would use comma is for interjections, when you sort of add words in. You will, of course, need a key to the room. That gets set off with commas. It's not essential information. It's just something else you're adding to sort of give the sentence some flavor. Another example. If you think you can sleep comfortably on the floor, hey, who am I to argue? That non-essential information is being set off with commas. There is this rule called vocatives, and you see lots of little funny comics made about this, about the importance of using commas. And here we have this little comma, let's eat grandma, versus let's eat, comma, grandma. That lets you know that the meaning is different. So vocatives, when you're adding someone's name or something else to identify them, that's where you want to set it off with a comma. Another example of that, no, Junior, you may not stay out past your curfew. Chrissy, I really need for you to pay attention. All of those you're setting off the name with a comma to separate it out from the rest of the sentence. You can also use commas to separate coordinate adjectives. So anytime you've got a list of adjectives, if you've got more than one, you're going to use a comma. This isn't quite the same as sequences. That'll be another lesson. He is a tall, comma, gawky man. No comma after the last adjective there. You just put it in between the list of adjectives. She is wearing a large, comma, well-worn flannel shirt. You also use commas for quotes. Look out for the kittens, comma, Jonah requested. So you see the comma, it not only goes there and sets off the quote before the rest of the sentence saying who said it, you also have the comma inside the quotation marks. Smith writes, comma, this is an example quote. If that is inserted before the quote, you do not need a comma. It's only when there's an action word, a verb, related to saying, writing, and things like that. So if you said it like this, Smith writes that this is an example quote, no comma in that case. Mom is fond of saying, comma, one day your sister will be your best friend. And since the tag, the explanation of who is speaking, comes beforehand, the comma goes outside of the quotation marks in that example. If you said that instead, Mom is fond of saying that one day your sister will be your best friend, then you do not have the comma. You can also use commas for contrast. I wanted the red icy, not the blue one. It's creepiness, not jump scares and loud noises, that I'm looking for in a good horror movie. All of that is non-essential information, but it's all there for contrast. And when you put it in there, you want to set it off with the commas to show it's not essential information. Alright, that wraps up this quick lesson, and you can continue on to the quiz.